All right, another writing question where to start off, we should use the choices to predict the question. So here, they're switching out commas, periods, colons, dashes. Obviously, this is about punctuation again. But remember, punctuation is really a clue that we need to care about sentence structure. So that's really important. When we look at this, we are really trying to figure out where a sentence begins and ends. So let's read it. Just weeks after the scientists added the nitrates and phosphates, the water in Lake 227 turned bright green. It was thick with the same type of algal blooms that had plagued Lake Erie. You might have heard it, but I did a big pause after the word green because there's kind of a break here. It's a new sentence. I could have stopped with the water in Lake 227 turned bright green. That is a sentence. A new sentence starts with, it was thick with the same type of algal blooms that had plagued Lake Erie. We cannot join two sentences with only a comma. So choice D is a problem. This is a run-on sentence again. That's going to be a big problem. Now, the other ones all allow us to connect two sentences. So period's obviously a good solution here. But you might not know what a colon does. And this is a good example where you just need to memorize the rules for these punctuation marks. And there's no way around it. So to kind of illustrate what a colon does, what is required, and so let's just write colon there, is we need a complete sentence before the colon. After the colon, we can do whatever we want. We can have a complete sentence. We can have a list of things. That's what we mostly associate with colons. But we can also just have one word if we really want to. We have a lot of flexibility with colons. So if we know this rule, we have a test that we can apply to each of the remaining choices. So choice A, it was thick with. Can that be a sentence? Could I have just ended that with a period? No. I need to say what it was thick with. This sentence has a continuation. It needs more. So I couldn't just end it there. And that's proof that A is not right, because this version of a colon doesn't work with our test that we want to apply. This is important because colons, how often do you use them, right? Like you may almost never use them. So we have to use a test to see if we can use it. With choice B, we do have a sentence before the colon, right? Just weeks after the scientists added the nitrates and phosphates, the water in Lake 227 turned bright green. We said before, that's a sentence. So we could use a colon there. And after it, I'm not even going to look at yet because that doesn't quite matter. It could be anything. So I have a lot of flexibility with what comes after the colon. For choice C, the dash is actually behaving like a colon here. So we can use dashes in lots of different ways. They're the most versatile of the punctuation marks. Dashes can replace commas, they can replace colons, semicolons, periods. We've got a lot of flexibility with dashes. But the same rule kind of applies here. We need to make sure that if we're interrupting this thought, we kind of return to the thought at the end. And that's why sometimes we see two dashes in a sentence, is we're interrupting and then we're coming back to where we started. That's not happening here. We're kind of just cutting the sentence off with a random pause and then never getting back to it. It was thick with. With what? It needs the what. And so this dash is not going to be good here. It's cutting the sentence in a weird place, which leaves us with choice B. And this is okay. This is a valid use of the colon. And it's one that the SAT uses often, so get used to it. The reason that this is an okay thing to do is there's one more little thing you should know about how colons are used. The second thing is usually an answer or explanation for something that happens, for the thing that happens before the colon. So what I like to do is you can usually turn the first thing, the sentence, into a question. And the answer to that question is what's supposed to follow the colon. So let's try it. The water in Lake 227 turned bright green. Why did it turn green? Because it was thick with the same type of algal blooms that had plagued Lake Erie. The second piece answers a question that's kind of raised by the first piece. It's not a literal question, but it's an implied question. There's some uncertainty. There's something that needs an extra little explanation, and that's what a colon is for. It's to say, hey, here's the extra information that you wanted. It's right here at the end. So this is tricky, but if you memorize when to use colons, this is actually pretty easy.